framework. While scheduling an interview, some of the candidates, even HR itself, they will ask. So, do you know RE framework? Have you worked on RE framework? Have you worked on different kind of automations like SAP automation? Or have you do you have knowledge on orchestrator? See, we have seen lot of things on orchestrator. How to provision a robot by using standard mission and floating template, right? So you have to tell that how to provision a robot and how to create a folder and how to under the folder how you will provide a roles to that folder or permissions. Okay. So and then inside the folder we'll have the options processes, correct, schedules, and then jobs and the automation, right? So how you will call. So these are all the things you see. That's what if you go and see the videos, then you will get to know that. So if, whenever they ask that, so you have to tell that this is the let me record on my. So did we see state mission? Yes, right?
స్టేట్ మిషన్ చెప్పలేదన్న.
స్టేట్ మిషన్ చెప్పలేదా?
చెప్పలేదు, స్టేట్ మిషన్ చెప్పలేదు. స్టేట్ మిషన్ మొన్న చెప్తా అన్నావు ఆ రోజు, చెప్పేది తర్వాత నిన్నేమో HTTP చెప్పావు ఆ రోజు.
ఓకే, అయితే స్టేట్ మిషన్ చెప్పుకున్న తర్వాత దానికి వెళ్దాం. అంటే ఆర్ఈ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ తెలియాలంటే మనం ఆల్రెడీ ఫ్లో చార్ట్ డిస్కస్ చేయాలి, మనకు తెలుసు. సో వీ హ్యావ్ వర్క్ రైట్.
అదే స్టేట్ మిషన్ లో స్టేట్ అవన్నీ ఉంటాయి కదా.
అవునవును, స్టేట్ మిషన్ చెప్పుకున్నాం తర్వాత ఆర్ఈ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్.
ఓకే.
యోగేష్, హలో యోగేష్. రాజశేఖర్ జాయిన్ అయ్యాడు, మల్లికార్జున్. ఓ వీడియోస్ అడిగారు, మళ్ళీ నేను మర్చిపోయాను రా, సారీ. ఈరోజు పంపిస్తా, సరేనా? So Malli, I gave permission to record, and then Bhavani, okay, Deepika, Yogesh. Bhavani, certification చేస్తున్నావా?
అయిపోయిందన్నా.
సూపర్. ఏదది?
పంపిస్తానన్నా.
మహేష్ కి ఈరోజు కాల్స్ వచ్చినాయంటే, మహేష్ వచ్చేసి 2 సర్టిఫికేషన్ చేశారు కదా, ఒకటి బేసిక్, ఇంకోటి అడ్వాన్స్డ్. దానివల్లే కాల్స్ వచ్చినాయి అబ్బాయికి. సో మీరు కూడా కాల్స్ చేశారంటే, సర్టిఫికేషన్ చేశారంటే యూ విల్ గెట్ మోర్ కాల్స్. దిస్ ఇస్ ద బెస్ట్ టైమ్ టు యూటిలైజ్ ఇట్.
అన్న ఇప్పుడు మనం చెప్తున్నాం కదా స్టేట్ మిషన్ అది
ఉమ్,
ఇప్పుడు నుంచి వీళ్ళు కానీ ఈ సర్టిఫికేట్ ఆర్పిఐ డెవలపర్ అడ్వాన్స్డ్ కానీ చేస్తే అది బాగా అర్థమవుతుంది అన్న వాళ్ళకి క్లాసెస్ కూడా ఇప్పటి నుంచి.
అవునా?
అది స్టార్టింగ్ నుంచి స్టేట్ మిషన్ దగ్గర నుంచి ఉంటుందన్నమాట అడ్వాన్స్డ్ అనేది.
ఓ, ఆహా.
ఆర్పిఐ డెవలపర్ అడ్వాన్స్డ్ అనే ఒకటి ఉంటుంది సర్టిఫికేషన్ లో.
ఆ, ఆ.
ఆర్ఈ ఫ్రేమ్ వర్క్ ఫస్ట్ స్టేట్ మిషన్ తర్వాత ఆర్ఈ ఫ్రేమ్ వర్క్ వాటి గురించి ఉంటుంది.
ఉమ్.
అది అందరూ స్టార్ట్ చేయమనన్నా ఈ రోజు నుంచి, అంటే వాళ్ళకి బాగా అర్థమవుతుంది ఇంకా నువ్వు చెప్పే క్లాస్ ఇంకా.
అవునులే. మళ్ళీ వినిపిస్తుందా రాజశేఖరం? ఖాళీగానే ఉండవు కదరా పొద్దున్న నుంచి, ఏదో మామూలుగా ఎక్కువ ఏదో వీడియోస్ ఇంటా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి, అప్పుడే మీకు అర్థమైంది. ఊరికే వీడియోస్ ఇంట అంతా అర్థం కాదు. హేమంత్ మీకు కూడా సరేనా, ఎక్కువ academy.ua వెళ్ళి
ఓకే అన్న.
academy.ua వెళ్ళి అక్కడ వచ్చేసి చాలా ఉంటాయి. ఇది మామూలుగా అడ్వాన్స్ సర్టిఫికేషన్లు కానీ, ప్లస్ మన ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ ఫండమెంటల్ చేయండి. ఫండమెంటల్ ట్రైనింగ్ ఉంటుంది కదా, అది చేయండి. దాంట్లోనే మీకు చాలా అర్థమైంది. ఎందుకంటే మనం వచ్చేసి మోర్ దాన్ 50% ఆఫ్ ద సిలబస్ హస్ బీన్ కవర్డ్. దానివల్ల మీరు చేశారంటే ఇంకొంచెం ఇంకా నాలెడ్జ్ ఎక్కువ వచ్చింది.
ఓకే, ఫండమెంటల్ చేశాను, ఇప్పుడు అడ్వాన్స్ చూస్తా ఉన్నాను.
ఓకే ఓకే, సూపర్. అంటే మీరు ఇంత అమౌంట్ ఖర్చు పెట్టి దీనికి స్పెండ్ చేస్తున్నారంటే దేర్ ఈస్ సమ్ వాల్యూ, అంతే కదా. ఊరికే టైం పాస్కి ఏం రావట్లేదు కదా మీరు. అది అర్థం చేసుకోండి సరేనా. అంటే మీరు కాకపోయినా మీ పేరెంట్స్ వచ్చేసి కష్టపడి మీకు డబ్బులు పంపిస్తున్నారు, దాన్ని అంతా అర్థం చేసుకొని మనం నేర్చుకొని సో వీ హ్యావ్ టు గెట్ జాబ్. స్టార్టింగ్ లోనే మనకేం సో వీ డోంట్ నీడ్ టు గెట్ lakhs of salaries అంటే పర్ మంత్. మీకు ఏ సపోర్ట్ కావాలన్నా నన్ను అడగండి సరేనా. మీకు ఈ జాబ్ సెర్చింగ్లో ఎలా ఏంటి, అందుకనే మీకు ఈ సెషన్ ఇంత ఇదిగా చెప్పేది. నాకు తెలిసి నేను ఇంతవరకు ఏ సెషన్ చెప్పలే ఇలా. లాస్ట్ 4 years నుంచి దాదాపు ఇది 5th year నేను ట్రైనింగ్ ఇవ్వడం. మీరు కొంచెం కమ్యూనికేషన్ ఇంకా, ఎందుకంటే డు నాట్ మిస్టేక్ మీ, నన్ను తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకోవద్దు. మీకు కమ్యూనికేషన్ కొన్ని ఇంప్రూవ్ కావాలంటే యూట్యూబ్లో కొన్ని వీడియోస్ ఉంటాయి, అవి రోజుకు ఒక 1/2 hour స్పెండ్ చేయండి, దాంట్లో ఒక 1 hour స్పెండ్ చేయండి. సో ఇఫ్ యూ స్పెండ్ దెన్ యూ విల్ ఆటోమేటికల్లీ యూ విల్ గెట్ టు నో దట్ హౌ టు స్పీక్. ఎందుకంటే ఐ హావ్ సీన్ మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద పీపుల్ వాళ్ళు వచ్చేసి 7 years 6 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ పెడతారు. ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ పెట్టి ఇన్ వాట్ ఇస్ దట్ ఇన్ యూఏ 3 years 4 years అంటారు. దట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఎన్ ఈజీ టాస్క్ టు క్లియర్ ద ఇంటర్వ్యూ. 3 years 4 years పెట్టేసి 2 years చాలు. 2 years పెట్టామా బాగా ఈజీగా అన్ని కాన్సెప్ట్స్ బేసిక్స్ చాలు, బేసిక్స్ తరువుగా ఉన్నామా ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అటెండ్ కావండి. సో యూ విల్ గెట్ టు నో దట్ వాట్ ఆర్ ఆల్ ద టాపిక్స్ దే ఆర్ ఆస్కింగ్. సో ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ యూ విల్ ప్రిపేర్. ఓకే, ఏ టాపిక్స్ అయితే మనం ఈరోజు కవర్ అయ్యాయి, ఏ టాపిక్స్ వాళ్ళు అడుగుతున్నారు, మనం ఇంకా క్లియర్గా ఇంకా బాగా చదువు, అంటే ఆల్రెడీ మీరు చదివే ఉంటారు వాటిని, అంటే మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసే ఉంటారు. బట్ వెన్ ఎవర్ యు ఆర్ అటెండింగ్ అన్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ, generally the human psychologies, you will forget it, that's it. So that means that you don't know. So it doesn't mean that you don't know, you know that, but you are not able to express it during the interview. Sarana, so always what you have to do, practice. మీకు ఎవరన్నా ఒక ఇంటర్వ్యూలో క్వశ్చన్ అడిగినప్పుడు దాన్ని ఎలా ఆన్సర్ చేయాలి అంతే. అది ఫస్ట్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ అంతా రాదు సరేనా. ఐ డోంట్ నీడ్ టు వరీ అబౌట్ దట్. ఇట్ ఇస్ టేక్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. అది నాకు ఒక ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. సో ఇది కాకపోతే ఇంకో ఇంటర్వ్యూలో సెలెక్ట్ అవుతాం అంతే. సో జస్ట్ కీప్ దట్ మోటివేషన్. డు నాట్ థింక్ దట్ ఐ డోంట్ నో, like no, otherwise, like no, do not scold me, like no, because this guy did not tell me all these things. Nobody tells. I will bet it. If we are able to prove that, so any institute or any like no trainer is providing me like this, I will refund your amount. I don't need. ఇచ్చాను నీకు ఎప్పుడను. ఓకే ఇచ్చాను చూడు మళ్ళీ. ఓకే విల్ స్టార్ట్. సో ఎవ్రీబడి జాయిన్స్ రైట్. సో మీకు ఏమన్నా ఇంటర్వ్యూ టిప్స్ కావాలన్నా ఇది ఈ వీడియోస్ చూడండి చాలు. ప్రతి ఒక్కటి వీడియోస్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ like if అడుగు వీడియో చూడండి. నేను ఏ ఇంటర్వ్యూ దిస్ ఇస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద వెరీ లైక్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ డ్యూరింగ్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అని చెప్పానంటే అది వాళ్ళు ఏ రకంగా క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతారు, దానికి ఎలా ఆన్సర్ చేయాలి. సరేనా? ఓకే. స్టేట్ మిషన్. I'm just taking a like now before what is that? Introduce the concept of RE framework. That means, so here we have a concept called RE framework. No, see, this is called RE framework. This is RE framework or RE framework or robotic enterprise framework. Okay, so some people like no tell you that what is robotic enterprise framework. So do not confuse with like no suddenly if they ask the question. It is RE framework. It is RE framework. So what is RE? Robotic enterprise. You have to remember these like no words. See, like no, if somebody is providing like no 50,000 or 1 lakh salary, you will not get for free, right? So you have to do lot of hard work in order to get it. See how our parents are like no doing much hard work in order to get into some amount, like no where they are like no, my father is a cultivation, like no farmer, agriculture. So we know that like no how they are working. So they are not getting amount for free of cost, correct, right? Without doing hard work. The same way here also, see, nobody will give you like no by simply like no going to the office and sitting idle. You have to work. So if you want to work means you have to do a hard work. Once you do the hard work, so next time on you don't need to do anything. So that himself like no it will give the food to you, correct, right? అదే చెప్తున్నాను, నన్ను మీరు తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకోవద్దు. నేను వచ్చేసి మీ బెనిఫిట్ కోసమే చెప్తున్నాను తప్ప ఐ డోంట్ నీడ్ టు టెల్ దిస్ ఆల్సో. ఎందుకంటే ఇక్కడ ఉండే వాళ్ళంతా మా ఓన్, ఓకే, మహా అంటే 2-3 తెలియని ఉన్నారు అంతే. తెలియని వాళ్ళు అంటే ఐ మీన్ లైక్ తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకోవచ్చు. మళ్ళీ దీపిక, హేమంత్, యోగేష్, మిగతా వాళ్ళంతా మా వాళ్ళే. మా వాళ్ళు అంటే మా ఊరు వాళ్ళనే, లేకపోతే మా రిలేటివ్స్ అనో అలా అంతే. ఇది సో యు ఆర్ లక్కీ లైక్ టు బి ఇన్ దిస్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ట్రైనింగ్. దీపిక తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకోమమ్మా. ఓకే, స్టేట్ మిషన్. State mission is state mission what is state machine? Before the concept comes into introduce the any version of the RE framework. So usually in order to develop a workflow, we used to have either flowchart, sequence, or state machine. Okay. Even RE framework also was developed on top of state machine only. It is not any other it is not a another template. Even if you open the main workflow, so you will have an option called export as template. If you define if you define your own workflow, that can be converted into template. That's it. Hereafter you will make use of you will pass it to the, or if you are a team lead, you will define some certain rules onto that on top of any flowchart or state machine, and you will export as template. See here we have an option, right? So whenever they ask in what is export as template, so for each and every company they will define some templates. You have to follow the template in order to develop whenever you are developing a workflow. So the template, what it tells is you have to follow that the same type of template. So whenever so you have to follow the variable names like this, okay, while naming the variables and while naming the arguments. Okay, so how do you do that? So you have to use the first one is the what are the best practices you have to follow. So everything will be defined into the template. That is called template. See, you don't need to worry about what is template, how do we do that. See, however we are doing, whatever the best practices we follow, that is called a template. So here, see, when I go with the, see, just click on the down arrow of new. In an interview, they ask you like, what are the different kind of workflows? So you have to tell sequence, flowchart, and then state machine, global handler. Okay, these are all the 4 different types of workflows. So we have seen sequence, we have seen flowchart, and we are going to see state machine. This is one of the way. See, either you just click on this, so it will create a new workflow. Otherwise, just in the activities, call type like state. So then under the state machine, there are 3 activities: state, state machine, and final state. So first, we are going to discuss about state machine, right? Just drag and drop into this canvas. So what now on top of this, we got one sequence. So one more, we have seen this example also. What is workflow analyzer and what is removed, unused. That is what see, if you do practice daily, then you will get to you will able to remember all the concepts. Otherwise you will never. Simply you are attending and these classes and then you are, if you are leaving this, then you don't need to attend this, right? It's time pass. If you do not have time, then that is a different issue. But you should have some seriousness. State machine. Okay. So what is state machine? State machine comes from state and final state. So whenever you would like to move from one transition to another transition state, one state to another state, or one transition to another transition, okay, or like no. So we will use state machine. For example, like now when whenever you would like to execute some of the what is it? Some workflows where we will like no see. We will usually like no we will go to. We have seen this example, I believe. No. When we go to the office, we will have some missions, vendor missions or lender missions, we can tell. So there, in my office, it is there. So we have to insert one coin. There are some food items like chocolates, some biscuits or some lace or some like no food items are there, snacks. So there will be some costing card for each and every food item. Maybe like now from it starts from 5 rupees or 10 rupees or like 50, it based on the food item. So whenever you insert some amount, after that you have to enter some code. For each and every like no item, there will be a code. If you enter that code, after that, so the machine it will go and pick that item and like no give it to you. Or so it will check the what is the amount you have inserted. What is a 10 rupees? And what is the code of that like no item you are looking for? So it will go on give it to you. So whenever you are inserting the amount, that is one state. After inserting some amount, it will check it. What is the amount you entered? That means you deposit it into that machine. And then like now it will ask you to enter the code. So you will enter some code that is also input. Okay. And then so it will go and search for that particular item. It will like now give back to the item what you are looking for or like now what you are interested. So inserting the coin and type some code, the machine will go on like now pick the item and give it to you. So these are all the different states, right? That is one of the example of state machine, how it works. So for example, like now when you go to the bank, what you will like now you want to check your balance. What do you do? So usually insert your like now what is that ATM card, and you have to clear like now select some menus where you have to check your balance or like deposit some amount or like withdraw some amount. So these are all the things like now state machine only. That means how the state machine happens. Like now what are the different states are available. Correct. So and then like now you will get current balance and like now after deducting some amount, what is the amount you are withdrawing? Okay. And what is the amount is there in that in your account. So each and everything like now it is a different states. One state to another state. So docs dot sorry. Chrome. Dhanalakshmi Balaji. A state machine is a type of automation that uses a finite number of states in its execution. It can go into a state when it is triggered by an activity, and it exists that state when another activity is triggered. What is trigger? Triggering means calling, executing. So, like, see, the another important aspect of state machines are transitions, as they also enable you to add conditions based on which to jump from one state to another state. They are represented by arrows or branches between the states. So these are two activities that are specific to states, state and final state, found under workflow state machine. Okay, so state activity contains three sections: entry, exit, and transitions. We'll see one by one. See, state machine. What is this? This is a flow chart, right? This icon, like now we have seen in the flow chart. Okay. So take state. Under this state, see, when you double click on this, so you will have state will have three sections: entry, exit, and transitions. While the see, what is the difference between the state and final state? This is also one of the very important. So state will have entry, exit, and transitions. For each and every state machine will have like no more than one state and at least one final state. See, the state activities contains three sections. See, you have to explain each and everything. That's what I'm like. No, that's why like no, we are going each and everything in detail. If whenever they ask what is state machine, so that is the architecture of the state machine. So it has all these things, and we'll have a state, then followed by final state. When I go for a state, it is having entry, exit, and transition. Right, door hierarchy. State. Entry. So drop an activity here. Exit. So for simple understanding, so when it execute entry, when it execute exit. Simple. After that, like now we will see a lot of example, like now see some like now complex or real-time example. First, like now we know that how it will execute. So which state will execute when? If you know that, then you can define like now what are the complex tasks, like now workflows, or like now complex logic or complex use case itself. It's a simple. That's what. So first of all, for each and everything, you should know how it will execute. Okay. Entry. So now we are into first state, exit. So entry and exit. So what is the error? The state must have at least one transition. See, here we have, so exit and entry. Entry and exit will have both the, like two activities we define, right? That is the reason it is showing here. If you want to enlarge it, okay, so you can do like this. So after this, I will define one more state. So I will rename it to take this state. So this is process. In this process, so whenever I define a, see, whenever I put that, automatically a link has been enabled from one state to another state. Okay. So how it is here, the same way link has been enabled in this. What is this? That is called transition. So transition is nothing but providing a link from one state to another state. This is one state and this is for another state. So after this state, you are telling that you need to execute this state. That is the reason we provided a link. That is called a transition. So when you open this one, see, in the beginning, we do not have, transition is empty, right? See, now the transition, what is the transition? So T1, so how do you provide a transition? See, in order to confuse you, interviewer asks that, how do you create a transition? So transition is nothing but a link between the states. That's it, from one state to another state. What has to be which state needs to be executed after the first state, after the next state, after the previous state. Okay, that is, so do not get any confused. Process. What is it here? So this is also same, now after this, one state needs to be there. Sorry, transition needs to be there. So I can provide a final state. See, the error has been gone. So if I define final state, final state, See here, what is this? Drag a transition line from the connection point to create a shared trigger transition. Double click to edit transition details. Select and press Ctrl C to copy the transition. So in order to go from here to there, we should have put one condition. Only this one. Okay. So here, just double click on this. What is this? Box. Entry section under process state. Exit section under process state. So transitions. How we are getting transitions? From this state, so how many links I have provided? So I have provided like from this process. So when it has to go to final state, when it has goes to final state, when it has to execute this state, and when it has to execute this state. So where we will define, just double click on this, see, trigger. Okay, so I am going to trigger. I can define whatever the action, so it depends on the use case. So where we are now, see, the source is initialization. See, this is the first link, right? That means first transition. T1 trigger. So what is the condition we have to put? So in order to execute this action, see, this transition is of trigger, condition, and then action. Come here. So we'll see this. Just double click on this final state. So final state will have only entry. So as per this, state activity contains 3 sections: entry, exit, and transition. The final state will contain only one section, that is entry. Both of these activities can be expanded by double click them to view more information and edit them. Entry and exit sections are enabled to add entry and exit triggers for the selected state, while the transition section displays all the transition linked to the selected state. So what is that? See, all the transitions. See, what all the links has been provided from this state. So from the process state. So I have provided 3 links, right? This is called transition. That is the reason if I double click on this, so we will have 3 transitions. D2 to final state, T3 to final state, T4 to final state. When it has to go to each and every state. come. Sorry. So in the entry, this is the final state. Congratulations, you guessed correctly the number. So guessing number. After that, what it has to see. This is a state. In the state, we'll have a entry. Under the entry, they took one input dialog. So adding guess number and exit, nothing has been defined. So this is the destination has been put to 3 types. One is try smaller message, try for higher, and try for correct guess. Just come back. Okay. So here the transitions are expanded when you double click them, just like state activity. There is what, right? See, transition, when you double click on this, it will expand. This is, and so in the trigger, so here again, like no, this transition having 3 sections: trigger, condition, and action. So trigger, condition, and what is the action needs to be performed. So condition, what we'll put? That enable you to add a trigger for the next state, or add a condition under which an activity or sequence to be executed. Okay. So whenever you add a condition, it will tell you, so what is the action needs to be performed after this? Okay, that is the, see, whenever they will ask you different questions on this. So how you will get to know that, like which state needs to be executed when, based on the condition. So you have to tell that in the transition, we have to put condition. So if that condition is satisfied, just go and execute it. Or if the condition is failed, okay, then just make it what is the trigger this activity. Or if the condition is not satisfied, or something else, so do this activity. Who is that? Yes. Who is that? Yogesh, tell me.
బ్రో ఇప్పుడు మనము ఫ్లో కంట్రోల్ యూస్ చేయొచ్చు కదా బ్రో, స్టేట్ మిషన్ బదులు ఇఫ్ రిక్వైర్డ్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు మామూలుగా మనం స్టెప్ బై స్టెప్ కండిషన్స్ కదా చేస్తా అంటే దీంట్లో కూడా ఫ్లో కంట్రోల్ టైప్ లో మెయిన్ డిఫరెన్స్
ఫ్లో కంట్రోల్ వచ్చి
దీంట్లో అయితే ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్ యూస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు అన్న.
If I want to move for one state to another state, okay na? Flow control kaadu adi, flow chart. Adana?
అదే బ్రో, ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లో చార్ట్
వచ్చేసి ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం కొన్ని డెసిషన్స్ చేసుకోవాలి, కొన్ని ఇది చేసుకోవాలి. లేకపోతే ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి ఏంటి, నేను ఈ స్టేట్ నుంచి ఇంకో స్టేట్ కి మూవ్ కావాలి బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద కండిషన్.
అంటే అర్థమైంది బ్రో. మెయిన్ మేజర్ డిఫరెన్స్ రెండిటికి అంటే మామూలుగా ఇప్పుడు మనము ఫ్లో చార్ట్ యూస్ చేసి ఈవెన్ ఇప్పుడు కాంప్లెక్స్ సిటీ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉంటుంది, దానికి ఫ్లో చార్ట్ యూస్ చేస్తాము. యూస్ చేసి దాన్ని మినిమైజ్ చేసుకొని మనం ఎక్కడైనా ఇన్సర్ట్ చేయాలంటే చేసుకోవచ్చు బ్రో మనం ఫ్లో చార్ట్ లో. ఫ్లో చార్ట్ యూస్ చేసి అట్లా యూస్ చేయొచ్చు. బట్ స్టేట్ మిషన్స్ కి ఎనీ డిఫరెన్స్? సరే బ్రో, చూస్తాను బ్రో.
అర్థం కదా ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లో చార్ట్ ఉంది, ఈ ఫ్లో చార్ట్
వచ్చి ఇప్పుడు స్టేట్ మిషన్స్ దేంట్లో కానీ ఇన్సర్ట్ చేయొచ్చా బ్రో? ఇప్పుడు ఇన్సర్ట్ చేయాలనుకుంటే అంటే కాంప్లెక్సిటీ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ వస్తుంది కదా, ఇప్పుడు కాంప్లెక్సిటీ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అనేది ఇప్పుడు మామూలుగా కాంప్లెక్స్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు మనము దీన్ని మినిమైజ్ చేసుకుంటాం ఫ్లో చార్ట్ ని. ఒక
మినిమైజ్
పెద్ద
అంటే ఏంటి
కండిషన్
బ్రదర్?
రాసుకొని
ఒక్క నిమిషం యోగేష్.
Okay.
మినిమైజ్ అంటే ఏంటి?
అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లో చార్ట్ లో మనం ఏం చేస్తామంటే కంప్లీట్ మనం యూజ్ చేయాల్సిన కండిషన్స్ అన్ని యూజ్ చేసుకొని మనకి ఎక్కడ అవసరం అవుతుందో అక్కడ ఇన్సర్ట్ చేసేస్తాము. అంటే కాంప్లెక్సిటీ కనబడకుండా ఉంటుంది. ఈవెన్ స్టేట్ మిషన్స్ కూడా సిమిలర్ గానే ఉంది. బట్ ఏమ్రా అంటే ఇది ఇక్కడ ఫ్లో చార్ట్ లో వచ్చి ఓన్లీ కండిషన్స్ పరంగా చూస్తాము. కానీ ఇక్కడ స్టేట్ మిషన్ లో ఏమన్నా అంటే ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ పరంగా అన్నారు బ్రో. ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లో చార్ట్ లో ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్ అంతా ఛాన్సెస్ కాదు కాబట్టి ఆ ఇష్యూని త్రూ స్టేట్ మిషన్స్ ఓవర్కమ్ చేస్తుంది, అంతే కదా బ్రో?
అవును
ఓకే
బ్రో, నేను ఇది స్టేట్ మిషన్ మీకు చెప్పేటప్పుడే, సో ఇట్ విల్ బి ఫాలో ద ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లో చార్ట్.
అవును.
So after that, so here also we can define like which activity needs to be executed next. But so here we have to define lot of decision makings. See, if you want to go for like one state to another state, so how we will get to know? So we have to define the conditions, right? Then only we can able to move it. కానీ ఇప్పుడు ఇది దీని తర్వాత ఏది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేయాలి, అవునా కదా? సో దానికన్నిటికీ డెసిషన్స్ పెట్టుకుంటా ఉండాలి. లేకపోతే హౌ డు యూ నో దట్ లైక్ నో విచ్ లైక్ నో యాక్టివిటీ నీడ్స్ టు బి ఎగ్జిక్యూట్. ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి నేను ఇట్ విల్ నాట్ యాక్సెప్ట్ ద స్టేట్, కరెక్ట్? సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇప్పుడు దీనికి వెళ్తాను, దీని నుంచి ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలి ఎలా తెలిసిద్ది? సో సీక్వెన్స్ గా ఏదో డిఫైన్ చేస్తాం. బట్ లైక్ నో ఇఫ్ ఐ వాంట్ టు పుట్ సమ్ కండిషన్స్ ఆర్ ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు మూవ్ ఫ్రమ్ వన్ స్టేట్ టు అనదర్ స్టేట్, okay, one activity like no after that, so I have to put some conditions like no if what is the decision making, I have to use it. So if I use the decision making, then I will go and define over that for each and like no if they're true you do this, false do that, correct? Again I have to put one more decision making, correct? No?
Yeah, yes bro.
But when you go here, so here itself I can decide which one needs to be executed based on the condition.
Okay.
ఇది అది వచ్చేసి ఇంకోటి వన్ ఆఫ్ ద అడ్వాంటేజ్ వచ్చేసి వీటిల్లో like no how many like no decisions you will define. If it is a like no very big there are a lot of conditions are involved in that. So rather than defining like no number of decision makings, that means flow decision, so we will use the simply like no state machine, like no if we do this like no if the condition satisfied, like no just go and execute it. Okay, if the condition is not satisfied, just go and execute this like no activity.
Yes bro.
Okay, so hereafter I can able to move whatever the like no state it might be, whatever the transition it might be, like no in order to execute. But like no, but when you use the flow chart, so I have to define decisions here. Okay, so there are a lot of what do you say like no activities are like no needs to be involved in this case, and like no there it is already a free-defined structure, right? So rather than like no manually defined all these decision makings, so we will use the free-defined structure. Why do you struggle it?
Okay.
That is the reason like no RE framework has been introduced.
Yes bro. Okay, got it bro.
So anything you would like to say? ఎవరో మాట్లాడుతున్నట్టుంది మధ్యలో. నువ్వేనా మహేష్? ఇంకెవరన్నా?
నేనే అన్న మాట్లాడేది.
అవునా, చెప్పు మహేష్.
ఏం లేదన్నా,
అంతే కదా. ఇప్పుడు ఆల్రెడీ మనకు ఒక ఫ్రీ డిఫైన్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇచ్చున్నారు. ఇవన్నీ వచ్చేసి ఆర్ఈ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేయకముందు వచ్చేసి ఫస్ట్ లైక్ నో దే హ్యావ్ ఇంప్లిమెంటెడ్ స్టెప్ బై స్టెప్. So first they took sequence. Okay. So what are the disadvantages in the sequence? So they try to overcome in the flowchart. In the flowchart, so they what are all the in order to move from one state to another state for each and everything, usually in Blue Prism, we have to call one by one. That means for example, you want to open an application. First of all, you need to check that whether application is open or not. If it is open, you have to kill it. Okay. Do you have any permissions or not? If the permissions are not, so you have to close it and we have to request them. See, there are a lot of conditions needs to be before start a process. So automatically in this RE framework in the state machine. So what all the developers are facing challenges, those challenges are overcome into this, and then they have introduced the concept of state machine, and then state machine, all this can be combined into the RE framework. So we don't need to call explicitly for each and everything. See, our requirement is taking the data from the input file or folder, or loading the application, and inserting the data. If you have the data in the queue, so we have to load the data into the queue and then fetch the data from the queue. So for example, if any exception happen, how do you proceed it? Whether you will go, we will forward it, or you will move backward. So everything you have to define manually in that. So other in order to overcome all these challenges, so they have implemented different ways. That is the only concept behind this. Okay. Flowchart, we can move forward and backward without using any loops. That is when you go with the sequence, definitely we have to use the for loop, for each loop, in order to move in order to repeat the number of things. When you use the flowchart, okay, we have seen that example, no? In the get transaction item, we now after the set transaction status, once it is done, if you want to take all the values, so again I have linked back to the get transaction item. It's done everything. So if you use the same sequence, so I have to use number of, we have to take the number of items in the queue, and then we have to process one by one. Correct, right? Without using the loop, they have introduced, this is the advanced, what is that, to overcome the challenges, they have introduced the flowchart. In the flowchart, what is there? If I want to move from one state to another state based on the condition. So they have introduced the state machine. In the state machine, again we have all these some of the drawbacks. So to overcome these challenges, they have introduced the RE framework. See, that is the sequence. See, one is the first sequence means that is the step-by-step improvements of the processes or the workflows. That is simple. So you don't need to confuse anything. With the flowchart, these are all advantages. To what are the advantages and the disadvantages of the flowchart? So to overcome of this, state machine has been introduced. So what is the advantages and disadvantages of the flowchart? State machine. To overcome this, what was introduced? So that is simple. Sequence, flowchart, and state machine. Then RE framework. Got it, Yogesh?
Yes, bro.
Okay. Okay. So on condition. So I will define one. Hmm. So after initialization, in the exit, so by default, we'll make it as false. Is exit. So see, for each and everything, it will go for entry. To come out of the state, it has to execute the exit. And then, so if it is, then only I would like to execute the second one. See first, then it will call process. Then come over here. What is this? Exit. So time being, I'm just, we can keep, see, in order to, this is for, how many final state can you able to define for one, state. So we can define n number of final states. It is not mandatory, we should have only one final state. In order to, to test it, I just pulled it. Okay, so if the condition is satisfied, then it will come over here into the final state. So what we will tell, so here we will exit it. Friends, tomorrow, can you able to connect at 5 p.m. Sorry.
ఓకే అన్న నాకు ఓకే అన్న.
స్పెషల్గా రేపు మేము టూర్ వెళ్తున్నాం. సో దానివల్ల ఒక 5 o'clockకి కనెక్ట్ అయ్యామనుకోండి. సో ఫస్ట్ సెక్షన్ ఎంట్రీ. So then see how the flow is. After entry, it comes to link. So in that only. So because there condition is not satisfied, right? Because it will be in false state. So this is going for a infinite loop. So what does this mean? So in the state machine, in the whatever it may be, first it will go and it will execute the entry. Okay. So if you defined anything, see, usually how we will assume that, so entry, after the control will comes to the exit, but it is not happen, right? So it is happening like, first it will go to the entry section, it will execute whatever the activities are there, and it will come to the link section and it will process it. That means it will execute the transition. So after this process, okay. So after this, it will go on to trigger it. After this trigger, it will check the condition. Condition is false. So here it is looping it. So we did not tell this. This is true, then only go and execute it. So we did not tell that if it is false. So here, if you define a, or if you, just take the link, so and put condition over here. What is the condition we will put? Is I can put not. So that means if it is false, got it? So this is like, see, whenever you are initializing, if you get in some exception, okay, so you will go to the final state and terminate, stop it. So if you did not get any exception, then you will go to the next section. That is how it works. See, but I see now it is here. See, I'm into first state, exit. So that means it is not true. If the value is, I'm into first state, exit section. Okay. See, now go on top of this, double click over here. How it is executing? First, it will go and execute the initialization. So in the initialization, first state entry. So in this entry, so I have defined something. And then it will go to the transition and it will trigger the transition what is there in this T1. Okay, T1. Okay. After this, if the condition satisfied, okay, so which one is executed? It is executed entry section, exit section. So, okay, don't confuse with this. First initialization, okay, again I will run it. Give me a second. Rachna, deputation. So see, this is entry, and we may make it as true. Then only it will execute the next section.
నాకు బాత్రూమ్ నా వల్ల కాల అదంతా ఎత్తి పోసుకోగా చూసాను.
Record. Okay. So exit, and then it will go to the transition. So it come and executed here and check the condition. After condition, again it will go and execute the exit. That is how it is working. So you have to remember this. So how it will, that is what, like now if you practice it, the first time it will be some confused. Like now if you practice or if you execute this one, then you will get to know that what is the activity is executing the next. Okay, so again it came here, see, and it is executed here. That means, see, after executing the like no transition only, okay, it check the condition. After executing the transition, again it is going to the exit and come out of that, and again it will execute the like no what is it, if condition section. Correct. This is the flow. For each and every activity, it will be worked in the same way. Entry, then transition, like no, it will trigger that whatever the action it is there. If it is not there, it will check the condition, and then if the condition true, then it will go to the exit section. Then it will execute like no, after action is there after the condition. So again it will go to the next section, like now entry, and then transition, and then if it is any trigger is there, otherwise condition, and then it will go on to like no previous exit. So it will exit out of that. That is the flow. Got it? See, just like no, see, for each and everybody, it will be like no bit confused because it is new, right? So don't like no afraid of this. Don't get like no, see, trigger, and then exit, and then initialization. So and then see, now it goes to the second process. Okay, it is trigger this, and then see, based on the condition, no, see, the condition is false, because like no, in that case, like no, we have given false, right? That is the reason like no, it is going for again executing the same. Okay, so we have to define what are the condition it might be in a entry section only. Okay, we have to make it as same as like no, assign a value in a entry section. Then it will come and execute the condition. Otherwise, no, it will go for a infinite loop. This is also you have to tell in the like no interview. See, usually like no how it works. That means like see, there are two things. One is good path and bad path. So nobody will ask you good path, because that everybody knows that. People will put like no concentration or like no to make you confused with the bad path only, because nobody like no will practice the bad path on bad path. So they will ask the interview, like in interview they will ask only those questions. So you will able to understand it. So how the flow. Okay, see, not only this activity, any activity you have to see that. Okay. Okay, guys, then okay, tomorrow we will go for RE framework. See, RE framework we will take time, because see, for each and every section they will ask you in interview. Even like no, you should know. Even like no, most of the workflows or like no use cases will be defined in a RE framework only. Some companies will they stress like no to ask on state machine, means they are working purely on state machine. They never work on. They doesn't have much requirements to work on the RE framework. Okay, so we'll see without using queues or with using queues how RE framework will work. Okay, so I'm sending this link. I would request you please go through this link. To understand more, just like no words, like no. So even like no here also they did not define much like no what we understood. See which action can be executed like no sequentially. If you explain this in the interview, that is enough. So when it will execute when, what are the action will like no activity or execute when, that is more than enough, man. So you don't need to explain more. Okay, what are the sections are there? When the section will execute, which section will execute when? That's it. Okay, okay, friends. Thank you so much. Bye. Tomorrow we will meet at 5 o'clock.